News broke yesterday that Hailie Deegan is starting to make her next step in NASCAR, going and running in the Las Vegas Xfinity race, which will be her first Xfinity start. And currently this is a one-off, but there's no further 2023 plans, but you know that there's probably going to be more in the future with the fact that she has such a big name behind her, big sponsors, big everything on social media. So you definitely have to ask, is Hailie Deegan ready for the Xfinity Series? Well, let's look back at what she sort of went through in her NASCAR career. Starting off in ARCA. In ARCA, in 2019, she had 6 starts with the top 5 and 4 top 10s. And while that seems great based on what normal top-tier NASCAR series show, it's not exactly the greatest, seeing how at the time in ARCA, there were a lot less competitive cars even than there are now, meaning that, well, a few top 10s isn't exactly impressive. And in 2020, in 20 starts, she only had 4 top 5s, but had 17 top 10s. But moving up to the national level of ARCA exposed in a way that Deegan still had a lot of learning to do. Though when you look at her average finish, for instance, a 7.3 in her final season wasn't all that bad, and she only had 3 DNFs in those 20 starts, meaning that she was actually taking care of her equipment quite well. Of course, in 2020, she also made her first truck start, which, maybe like 2023, would lead to full-time Truck Series racing. In 2021, she had 1 top 10. This was a gateway and it was off of attrition. A lot of cars crashed. Deegan, to her credit, avoided a lot of the carnage and melee, and with that, got her best finish. And it wasn't like the season overall was terrible. She actually finished 17th in points, which, to be fair, was pretty respectable for making that kind of jump. But it was quite clear with the 21st average finish that she wasn't exactly ready to compete at the top level. Many thought going into 2022 that Deegan was going to be somebody to take the next big step. It wasn't that she was going to go and dominate the Truck Series or even win, but it was thought that she'd compete for top 5s and definitely top 10s. Yet, so far this season, she has been nowhere near a top 5 or a win for that matter. She only has 2 top 10s, while better than last year. It's not really that much because, well, she's 4 positions lower this year in points than she was last year, and her average finish has went down a position in that time as well. Keep in mind the Truck Series has smaller fields than others, so a 22nd place average finish with 6 DNFs and 21 starts is not good whatsoever. And taking that step backwards is only more damning towards what her career has been at this point. Her 2 top 10s so far this year have been a 10th at Mid-Ohio, a road course, give her credit there, and a 6th at Talladega, where she even admitted in her own videos on it that she was just going to stay on the bottom and hope she didn't get wrecked. Not exactly the telltale signs of a driver who's just ready to take off. And it does suck because Deegan is a great personality for the sport. She understands social media quite well compared to just about any other driver. She has a great personable personality when it comes to meeting with fans and talking to fans, and being a woman in a male-dominated sport will make her get the headlines very quickly compared to a lot of other drivers of her status when it comes to how they performed in their career. While it might not be fair whatsoever to all drivers, what she's done so far with her name as well has brought a lot of notoriety, but the hype train has been dying down with the die down of her performance, similar to that of Danica Patrick. Now, why do I bring all of this up? Well, I do so because she has been getting criticized heavily for not developing as fast as many would want. But you also have to think as well that she is still relatively new to stock car racing, whether that be the Truck Series, ARCA, K&N at the time, or maybe the upcoming Xfinity ones. Now, I'll say this for her. Las Vegas is probably the best track that is remaining that she could run in the trucks. It's not a short track where it's going to be heavily dependent on the talent and knowledge a driver has. It's also not a super speedway like Talladega was this past week, so good not to throw her to the wolves there. And it's also not a track that's like Homestead that's very lane dependent. Las Vegas is a track that you can search around for your lane. It's a track that's wide. It's a track that you can get out of the way of the leaders if need be. And it's a track where you can learn a lot about long runs, short runs, restarts. It really is a great track for drivers to learn on when they're new in a higher level like Xfinity. Well, what many may ask and assert is that, well, she hasn't performed whatsoever in trucks. Doesn't that mean that she's not ready for Xfinity? And to that, I will say, not necessarily. While I agree that performing in trucks is something that will be a telltale sign for many that they should go forward in NASCAR, it's not that way for everybody, and that's what many bring up. Many bring up the fact that someone like Jimmie Johnson, a 7-time champion, completely skipped trucks on the way up. And it's the same thing that Ty Gibbs, one of the greatest prospects in recent memory, has done as well. And many have struggled in trucks and done well in Xfinity and even performed admirably in Cup. Look at Harrison Burton and Noah Gragson, who are some of the best Xfinity drivers of the last couple years. These are all case-by-case scenarios. Hailie Deegan may have just not fit in with the Truck Series, or she may not be developed enough to be there, and the Xfinity guys, which is a much, much more competitive field, will eat her alive. It could be one or the other, it could be somewhere in the middle. What I will say to this is, while Hailie Deegan is a very talented driver, she is no Jimmie Johnson. She is no Ty Gibbs. She is no Harrison Burton. She is no Noah Gragson. Those 4 drivers have proven tons of talent in every series. Well, in the case of Jimmie Johnson, it's one of the greatest ever, and it's unfair to compare her to him. And I will say that the Truck Series, yes, can be a meat grinder in the middle of the pack, but if you're running in the middle of the pack, you've put yourself in that position. I mean, not every truck race is a complete wreck fest. I was at the Kansas race this year, and it ended with a long green flag fuel run. And to be fair, even the ones that are wreck fest at the end, well, you have to make it to the end and be in that position to get wrecked. And if you're running 20th to 25th all day, that's not showing a great showing of your career talent. Again, I'm not saying that she has no talent on this issue, though. I'm just saying that she has not proved anything in trucks and not shown really any improvement that warrants her being moved up, in my opinion. Now, I will say this, good on her. She took the chance. She has the sponsorship, she has the backing, and she has the social media presence. I don't think she should be shamed for that. This is what every driver wants, to move up through the ranks, and if this is the way she has to do it, this is the way. But I will say, she should be compared and should be criticized the same way any other driver would in the same position. If she causes a bad wreck like Jesse Iwuji, there needs to be a lot of blowback to her the way that there was for Jesse Iwuji. If she goes out like Parker Retzlaff did earlier this year and has an awesome run, she needs to be appreciated for having that awesome run. I would say that if she finishes in the top 20 and on the lead lap, it will be a huge success for her. Now, with that, I'm going to pass it on to you. Do you think Hailie Deegan is ready for Xfinity? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And thank you to all my channel members for your continuous support. So until next time, have a good one.